Hey guys, this is Ray the Messenger, and in today's video I'm going to talk to you about escapism and escaping reality and how you can get out of it. Now, before we get into the video, I will tell you a little story of my own self, how I got caught up in the escapism and how I was escaping my own life and my own reality. So it all started basically a long time ago, a couple years ago, and I really got early into the escapism because when my life wasn't that well, when different things around my own life were going to hell, I try to escape reality. And this is an interesting thing. For most people that are going down the path, so for example, if you're going down the path of escaping reality, you're often using coping mechanisms. And those coping mechanisms, they can take on different types of shapes and forms. So one person might go out there and start eating a lot. So you develop a kind of an eating disorder. You start eating pizza, or you go out there and start eating at McDonald's every single day. And that is your form of escapism. Because you feel like, oh, there's a void in my life, or my life isn't that well, so I need to go out there and start eating some junk food. Or maybe you get addicted to pornography, so you start watching pornography every single day. Or maybe you use even a combination of multiple things. Or maybe you go out there and start doing too much workouts. Maybe you start taking steroids. That can also be one type of escapism. Or maybe you go out there and start dating around with different people. That can also be kind of an escapism. So as you can see, it's not that easy to spot the escapism for what it is. And oftentimes, so for me personally, what happened is I was in a bad situation and I decided to go out there and start playing video games. So I used video games were my primary way of escaping. Video games and of course pornography, and I used those things, and also eating disorder. So I had multiple things going bad in my life, so I started doing all these things as an escape. So I was trying to find a way to get out of the misery that I was finding myself in. Because when you feel like, oh, you don't like your life, or you feel like, oh, I'm at a place where I shouldn't be right now, or a place where you don't want to be, and you feel like, oh, I can't get out of it. If you feel powerless and you feel like, oh, I can't get out of it, then your mind will subconsciously try to find a way to get out of it. So you will start using these coping mechanisms as a way to escape, as a way to numb yourself. Because when you're caught up in that reality, you're like, oh, I need to do anything to get out of it. Just something, just give me something so I can have a little bit of a dopamine hit, and so I can feel better about myself. That was what happened to me. I was like, oh man, my life was so bad. I had many different issues, personal issues in my own family, and I didn't have too many friends. I wasn't that popular in school, and all these kind of things, and I had a lot of depression also, and mental health issues. So I was like, I was feeling really, really bad almost all the time, 99% of the time. So I was like, oh man, how can I change this horrible state I'm in? Because when you're in that situation where you don't want to be, or you have mental health issues, your happiness level, or your level of energy, or how you feel about yourself, is extremely low. It is so low that it's difficult for you to do basically anything. That was my own situation. I was waking up early, or I tried waking up early, but it didn't work out. I was just lying in bed until 10 in the morning. I couldn't wake up. Sometimes even I was waking up at noon, because I just couldn't. I was just unable to do anything in my life because I was so drained out of energy. And then when I woke up, the only thing I wanted to do is, oh man, I don't want to deal with the different issues that I have in my life. So that was subconsciously, I didn't want to deal with the issues that I had at hand in my own personal life. So I started going out there. Okay, what can I do? I just started playing video games 10 hours a day. Doesn't matter, 12 hours a day. Oh, the video games aren't enough, or they're getting boring. Okay, let's go outside and eat something at McDonald's every single day. Just something so I can escape, so I can feel better about myself. Driving around in the car, drinking different things. Sugary drinks, sometimes other drinks, drinking too much coffee, drinking too much coffee, having too much caffeine in my body, and all these kind of things. And that just got worse and worse and worse. And when you start doing these coping mechanisms, they often start out as something that isn't that serious, but then later on they become worse and worse, and it will become even more difficult for you to get out of it. And those coping mechanisms will actually make your life even worse. Short term, you think, oh, this is a great escape and this will make my life better, but in the long term, it will make your life 10 times worse. And that's what I realized. And for me personally, it got to a point where it was so bad that I needed to do something. So I decided to do a change. And I don't know if everybody gets to that point. For some people, the point is at a stage where it's too late. There's a point of no return for some people, where they're like, oh man, I'm at a point of no return, and then maybe they die. And some other people are not at that point. So you need to decide for yourself, oh man, I want to change my life. Because before you do that decision that you actually want to change your own life life in any kind of direction, whatever you want to achieve, or whatever is bothering you, you need to do that first step. So if you don't make the decision that you want to change, or you want to stop with the different coping mechanisms and the escapism, because that's what it is. In the end of the day, you're just running away, and you have to ask yourself deep down, what is it that I'm actually running away from? Is it that I'm running away from the current reality, or how things are, or maybe from a certain relationship, or issues I don't want to deal with, or maybe even childhood trauma? That was a lot for me. I had a lot of childhood trauma. I'm still trying to deal with it to this day. It's not that easy that you just one day you decide, oh, now I'm going to change. It's always a work in progress, but you need to make the decision, and you need to start working towards it, because if you don't start working towards it, you will stay the same person. And that's also an interesting thing that I've noticed. So when I was in that situation where I was feeling bad every single day, I also had friends that were in the same situation, because when you are a certain way, you will also attract people that are similar to you, or similar to the level that you're at in life. That's an interesting thing. You will always attract these people somehow with the law of attraction. I don't believe too much in the law of attraction, but certain people will recognize that you are similar to them, or you have similar interests to them, and then so you start talking, and then you become quote unquote friends or acquaintances or whatever the hell, or maybe even real friends sometimes. And these people were my friends back in the day, and they were the same. So I watched them when I developed myself, when I started working towards myself, when I started to get better, when I started actually tackling the things in my life, when I was like, you know what, I'm not going to drink any more alcohol, I'm not going to eat that fast food, I'm not going to eat that junk food, and then I'm not going to play video games every single day for 10 hours and go crazy. Yeah, I stopped doing these things, and then I noticed that the people that I was hanging out with that were the same, they never got to that point, they never changed. So they just became the same person, and the issues just kept on going. And the escapism, it doesn't get better, it got worse, because when you're accustomed to a certain level of escaping, or a certain level of coping mechanism, at one point that will become your new norm. So let's say you eat at McDonald's every single day, that will be your new norm, and then at a certain point you will be like, oh, this doesn't taste as great as it tasted like 3 months ago. So what do you start doing then? Then you said, you know what, I'm going to eat McDonald's 2 times a day, or maybe I'm now going to start eating more ice cream, or you start eating a Ben & Jerry's every single day, and then you start going even more crazy so you can get that new high, and then you start chasing that new high and more until you actually go inside and realize, what is it that I'm running away from? What is the issue that I need to focus on right now? How can I improve my life so I don't go in the direction where I will start messing with not only my mental health but also my physical health? So you don't want to end up like this some of the people that you see on television, or maybe even in the internet, that are extremely overweight, and they're like, oh, you know what, I would love to change but I can't. And that these people they actually believe that they can't change, but in reality they could. So you need to get to that point where you're like, you know what, I'm going to change my life. Just take the first step. That's what I did back in the day. I just started with some smaller steps, and that really personally helped me. So I hope this video was actually helpful for you. I hope you can take away a lot of things from this video. If there's one thing that I want you to take away from this video, is that the escapism, there's always a reason behind it, and don't try to run away from it, but face it head on and ask yourself, why is it that I want to eat at McDonald's every single day, and what actually do I gain from it, and what is it that I don't like right now in my life? Is it, maybe it's the way you look, maybe it's your body, maybe you're like, oh, you know what, I'm overweight. So then you know, okay, if I don't like myself because I'm overweight, and now I'm trying to cope with doing different things, maybe I'm going to start doing some workouts, I'm going to start losing some weight. That would be a good first step. Or maybe it's the personal relationships where you're like, oh man, I feel bad because of the toxic relationships you're in inside of your life. Then start to distance yourself from these people. You're not a tree. You're not obligated to being where you are. You can always try to change, and that's the most important thing. So I hope you like this video. If you like the video, subscribe to my channel, put a like on this video, put a comment on this video. I love reading the comments for you guys. Yeah, and until next time, have a nice day. Goodbye.